What really happened to Charlie Kirk? What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. It's kind of late right now. It's around midnight. I was scrolling through YouTube and just looking for new ideas, new topics. And you guys see the thumbnail and the title. No matter what I was looking at, my mind is kind of just stuck on this Charlie Kirk thing. I used to watch Charlie Kirk on TikTok. I was seeing he was blowing up on YouTube. And I knew that there were people that had obviously made up their mind about Charlie Kirk. I didn't understand the depth of it or the extent of it until after he was removed, right? And it is basically, it's a lightning rod. That the topic of Charlie Kirk is a lightning rod. And I see all these videos, all these new videos going around by all these content creators. I really don't get a lot of views talking about this topic. And I see a lot of these other channels, they get these views and it's another theory on what happened. You know, was it the shooter in front of him, or was there a shooter behind him, or now was it his lavalier mic did it? And my answer is this. People want to know, how did he get taken out? Let me give you the answer. Someone or some people made a decision that he's got to go. That's it. That's it. How it was done is really irrelevant. Who did it? We're never going to know. The story is never going to be told. But they have the wrong guy in jail. In my opinion, they have the wrong guy in jail. And I think everybody pretty much knows that, right? Someone felt threatened by a guy who was having discussions. There's a lot of things that people should really be concerned about when it comes to this. But a lot of people can't get out of the way of their own emotions. They're blinded by their emotions. There are people who, let me give you an example before I even go there. So I see these channels now on TikTok. They're troll channels. Not troll channels in the general way that we're used to seeing. They will create a post on TikTok that's going to be a political post, and it's targeted at one side or the other. It doesn't mean that the person that's making the post believes what they say. It's the reaction that they get, the interaction with the post, the views. That's all they care about. So they come out with the most ridiculous thing. Like, I'll read it, I'll be scrolling through TikTok and I'll see it. And I honestly, I'm like, this person's good. Because you see the views and you see the interaction. Okay, now, I bring that up because when I do these Charlie Kirk videos, for the most part, people are level-headed. Even if they didn't like him, they're pretty level-headed in their comments. Every now and then we get somebody who just has to, you know, do their thing. Not a lot of it, but here's the thing that I think is one of the scariest things about humanity and this country. Probably actually the world at this point, right? But Charlie Kirk would sit down and engage in conversation, dialogue with whoever got there, whoever showed up, whoever made it to the mic. And he would do that for hours. Or he would record a video and he would speak on a subject. Or he would go to a podcast and he would speak on a subject for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it was. And then guess what happens? A 5-second soundbite gets taken out and then posted. And when you do that and you take it out of context, you give no context. Instead, you build a story. You build your own narrative around that little snippet. The vast majority of people will hear that and be like, I knew it. Again, look at what he's saying again. The people that are creating the soundbite, or excuse me, that snipped the soundbite out of something and made the story, the post, whatever it is, right? They knew by doing that 99.9% of the people that see it, for one, are supporters of that network or content creator. And two, they're not going to research it. They're not going to say, where did this come from? Okay, so he went on this. Okay, I see in the background, here's the name of that podcast. I want to go over there and I want to watch the whole thing. I don't know if it's because I did so much time in prison and I understood that you never run with one side of a story. Ever. That's how you get crossed up. That's how you wind up in the morgue. That's how you wind up with a helicopter flight to the outside hospital. It don't matter if it's your own damn friend, somebody you kick it with every day on that yard. Something comes up, you hear his side of the story, okay. That's some of the story. But you look at everything. And in prison, if you don't do your homework, the ramifications of your laziness are deadly and swift. And so out here, you have people that have never had that type of threat. They've never had that type of, if I just run my mouth, nothing's going to come of it because, this is the free world. They've never had that threat where, hey, if you open your mouth, like they used to say when I was schooled, if you're going to speak about it, make sure you're willing to go all the way with it. All the way means you're ready to kill or die. And see, out here, you don't have that. You have people who it's okay because they surround themselves with like-minded individuals and they get a soundbite and they believe it. I can tell you that when I was arrested the last time, for my murder case, when I was arrested in 1993 for that case, I truly believed at the time, For those of you that remember the National Enquirer would have the craziest stories. They weren't true back then. It was just sensationalistic. It was something to pass the time with, right? People would grab it. It was always right by the cash register. You'd get it and you'd laugh about it. And then you had the mainstream media, right? You had, the LA Times, New York Times, whatever it was. And I believed that they were different from the National Enquirer until I caught my case. And the details of my story, I was there, right? But they were painting the picture in the newspaper in a sensationalistic way in order to get somebody to buy that newspaper and read that story. And I have to say that back then, newspapers and the media, they seemingly had a little bit more morals and ethics in what they were doing back then. So imagine that. For me to go through and be like, damn, that newspaper is the same as the Enquirer. And now, all these years later, it seems as though the truth doesn't really matter. It's the agenda that matters. I think that we owe it to ourselves, we owe it to our families, and to this country to do some homework, man. Make sure if you dislike somebody, a public figure, make sure it's because of something that they actually said. In context. Hear the whole thing and then draw your conclusions. And I'm using Charlie Kirk because of, how big it is. I'm using that as an example, but I'm talking about in life, period. I honestly believe we are in some very scary times. I believe that there's a battle going on right now that is headed in a really ugly place. I hope I'm wrong. But I know if we're not educating ourselves, if we're not doing the homework, then we're letting it happen. And that's whoever they are, right? Air quotes. Whoever they are, that's exactly what they're banking on. They throw all this stuff out there because they know most people have got a straw in their mouth to just suck it all up. Their mind's made up. Their emotions have taken over. Intellect goes out the window. The line has been drawn in the sand. No, not yet. I think when it gets to that point, there's no turning back. We need to do our part. For those of you that have ever heard of Nostradamus, Nostradamus was famous for his predictions, right? There's people that have argued they believe he was a time traveler and all kinds of stuff, right? And I remember being in Pelican Bay Shoe and reading his book of predictions. And he was right about a lot of things. Has he been wrong about stuff? Absolutely. He predicted Hitler. He was off by one letter. He said Histler instead of Hitler. But there's something that Nostradamus said. There's something that was attributed to him, and it's in the book that I read. And he said, basically, because I don't remember word for word, but basically what he said was his predictions can be changed. Basically, if we do our part. And I was thinking about that right now. When I'm looking at all this stuff on Charlie Kirk, and all did it happen this way? Did it happen that way? Was it this? Was it that? Was you over there? Was you over there? Some people made a decision. He became a threat. He became a thorn in the wrong people's side. And those people have done that type of work for decades all over the world. And I really think that I'm dead serious. Like I know people are gonna be calm down. No, I'm not. I'm just doing my part. I'm doing my part to say, hey, make sure that you're doing your due diligence. You owe it to your kids. You owe it to your family. You owe it to yourself. There's some strange things going on right now. There's a war going on right now. We don't know who the good guys or the bad guys are at this point. We don't actually know the agenda. But if we open our eyes, we open up our ears and we shut our mouths, we can probably start changing some stuff. That's my video for today, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.